This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube today, all the way from Los Angeles, California, right before he's about to do a Comic Con, is none other than Juggalo Championship Wrestling star. He's a legend in Mexico, CMLL, AAA. Everyone remembers his WCW run. Canadian wrestling legend Vampiro. How are you doing today, sir?
I was getting excited to see who that superstar guest was. I'm doing really well, man. I'm very happy to see you. Very impressed with what you got going on. I've been following you um, on and off. I don't really try to stay away from wrestling as much as I can
Yeah.
because there's more in life. But when I do watch, you're one of the few because you're one of the only ones who crosses that line, so to speak. And I really like that. So I'm proud of how you stuck with it, man. You're doing real well. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. And what brings you back with Juggalo Championship Wrestling? You've had a few years away and you've been at their last couple of tapings, and you're going to be at their October tapings where they're going to many cities, including Wichita, Kansas, October 28th. What brought you back into it?
Um, I think you can understand this part as much as anybody. I wasn't happy with the way I left wrestling in general. I got really injured. Too much politics, and after 40 years or 4 decades in this, I kind of had a vision of how I would like to say goodbye to this industry. And saying goodbye to this industry, in my point of view, was how do I extend the persona that I've invested all my life in and give back or continue on? In Mexico, the last 2-3 years, it's been extremely brutally delicate, especially with the keeping the WWE secret. So I didn't really like the way things went. I've been in every company in the world. I've been all over Japan, all over Europe. I've been all over Latin America, all over the United States and Canada. The most fun I had and the greatest experiences I've had have in Puerto Rico, Italy, and JCW. The thing I love about JCW the most is the family that runs the business, which is Psychopathic Records. The way the fans participate, it's not like you have to sell a wrestling show. You're selling a culture, and JCW, ICP, Juggalo wrestling is part of that culture. Just the way the energy is, just the way the passion is, just the way the mess is behind the scenes, meaning what goes into it, and the response from the fans. I feel uncensored. I feel free. I feel with my people. I've been involved in JCW since its inception. So I just feel like now what I'm doing with my life in the United States for the first time, at my age, breaking into the indie scene is exciting as a motherfucker. So to be able to come back with this kind of energy and passion and just be around something like JCW lunacy, it's completely awesome. I feel at home, and I feel humbled, and I feel like this is one of the only touring independent promotions. So just to have that energy is something I don't know. So it's a lot of that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, and now, like with AEW and WWE, they're about as corporate as you can get. JCW, I mean, if any company is going to be the next ECW, even though they've been around for a while, as you mentioned, they've got some funding behind them. They're touring. Do you think it's reached its full potential yet? Because it seems like Violent J's really going all out on it again right now.
We're all surprised, me more than anybody, at the level of commitment he's doing, because somebody like him who's established really doesn't have to. But this is a passion. You know very well what I'm talking about when I say, look, man, we love this business. This fucking guy, it makes me crazy. I love this business. I love wrestling. I used to sit in my room and watch VHS tapes and paint my face and dream and try to copy the moves. He was doing this way before the fucking guy could even walk. So when you see somebody like that, and the term in our industry always circulates, right? Like money mark. This is not a money mark. This is a fucking guy who lives and breathes pro wrestling. So has it reached its full potential? I think it's finally been born correctly, because he's got a crew of people around him behind the scenes. I might not be Einstein in the wrestling business, but I've been around enough to know that I can do a certain role in the dressing room. One of the things about JCW, and this is going to be part of its success, is the dressing room is run right. So if you're going to be touring, and you know very well wrestling, pro wrestlers, they got a lot of things that are a little bit different. So that's a delicate thing as well. So do I feel it's reached its potential? I feel it's just beginning. And those are some big shoes to fill, the next ECW. I would rather be the first JCW lunacy and take from our influences, which were FMW, All Japan in the 90s, WCW, WWF, WWE, all of it, and come up with a new version and let the fans get behind it, and the fans will dictate. We're listening. So is it reached its potential? Not at all, brother. I think it's just beginning.
Now, I just watched your Canadian documentary, Angel Devil Hero. It's on Tubi now, and you're producing an event in that. You're on the mic, you're watching the videos.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that what you do in JCW too? Are you just talent, or are you involved with actually putting the storylines and matches together?
I I think my role right now in JCW is very similar to Lucha Underground, is that veteran guy who lets the people who are doing the storylines, if somebody asks me, I give a little bit, but I get the orders, and this is what I like doing the best, and then I help agent the matches. So I'm really, there's other guys that are stage managers, there's the creative crew, and they got a good flow going. I sit in on the meetings now, and I just listen, I just observe, because when there's too many chiefs, not enough, let's use soldiers as a word, it gets kind of fucking messed up. I love doing the other part, the live action stuff, the agenting. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I could see that, and I can see how there could be a lot of potential in it. Do you think you're going to get back in the ring at all, or you're just going to stay on that side of it?
Um, I think I'm definitely, unfortunately, going to get back in the ring, because part of it's ego, part of it's, this is what I love. It makes sense at certain times. It's fun for nostalgia. When I'm physically good, I can still kind of go. So when I say unfortunately, I don't want to hurt anybody who wrestles with me. When I say hurt them, I don't want my being 400 years old to affect their trajectoria. You know what I mean? Would I hurt somebody physically? Never, man. I'm probably one of the bigger pussies in pro wrestling, but and I'm very careful. But I will, if I can physically not embarrass myself, love to continue in the ring. It's an addiction, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, because you just had a big Mexico retirement tour, and you mentioned about keeping the WWE secret. What do you think about WWE taking over AAA now? And I guess you're not involved in it at this point, which I'm surprised at. But of course, you're not a corporate guy at all. But what do you think about the changes? And did you see this coming at all? Like in the 90s, when you were the Hulk Hogan of Mexico, could you have imagined at some point WWE is going to buy AAA and it's going to become like Undertaker backstage, apparently running things?
I am 1,000,000% out of the loop, and I was 1,000,000% out of the loop in the whole negotiation. I wasn't even considered to be a part of the plans. We can get into it if you want, but the politics behind the scenes, there's only so many spots. And I'm the kind of person that is unique. I can fill a role, but there's only a certain amount of roles for guys like me to fill. And if there's other people that are involved in the political conversation, they might be better or worse than you at that role. But if the right asses are kissed at the right time, that's how you kind of get ahead in this business, in any business in life. And that's okay. I'm not bitter about it at all. Did I see it in the 90s? Yes, for this reason only, because rest in peace, Antonio Peña, when he was in the Arena, Mexico, he's the guy who discovered me. He's the guy who made AAA. He told me that one of his dreams was to build up a library of video that was so valuable that one day when this is when the WWE was playing with their network, he had mentioned to me it would be amazing and a great business opportunity to sell that library. That is when I first heard about something like that. I kind of had that in my mind this whole time, because there are certain things in the wrestling business that you see and you're kind of like, well, how the fuck does this make sense? Or how is this surviving, or what? But then when you see the other pieces of the puzzle, you got to kind of step back and kind of open your eyes and read between the lines. I was fortunate enough to do that. Do I think it's going to change things? No. You know this as well as I do. You know, there was like, oh my God, the WWE is buying AAA. And my opinion still stays the same. I hope it fucking works, because Mexico has got all the talent. It's got the right people, meaning the fan support. It'll happen. But you can't go into Mexico and charge what you're charging for the tickets. The people don't make that much money. And this is something they feel is theirs. So now that an American corporation has come in, taken 6 or 7 guys, given them a couple $100,000 and made all this publicity, it lasted for 2 weeks. And then it kind of did the classic wrestling thing, and it went back into those who are in the loop will be the ones. It made an impact for the first 2 to 3 weeks, but it made an impact on social media. What is going to happen? This is so great. This is so great. I personally don't see any big change. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm going to get a lot of hate for what I'm saying, but I don't see the mountains moving.
Do you think now they have AAA? TNA's pretty much a farm system, but I guess they have the option to buy TNA. That's been confirmed whenever they want. They've got NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. Are they biting off more they can chew there with really 5 companies to run well? And how do you expect fans to want to watch all that product every week? That's a lot to watch. And I'm not saying this in a bad way, and you may end up working for them one day, so I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but just as a fan, do you think that's too much for one company to handle?
Oh fuck, dude. Thank you. I don't get in trouble at this stage in the game. If I'm not getting in trouble, then something's wrong. I agree with you. It's almost too much to watch, which is what's exciting for me as part of lunacy. Give something different, characters who are different, who don't look like the classic short tights and brand new boots and jacked up body and no personality. I think what JCW brings is you have the oddballs, you know, and I think that's what kind of needs to happen is the independents need to fucking step up. Use your YouTube, get on TikTok, do all of that stuff. Nobody wants to sit down and watch 3 hours of wrestling. If you do, then you're probably 12 years old. But if you're like me, I'll watch 20 minutes. If I'm fucking into it my whole life and there's something that catches me. So I think what indie promoters and people in general involved in wrestling need to understand, there's so much content available. You don't need the 20-minute intro. You like it, but your fans are like, fuck me, I got 10 minutes and you're giving me 20 minutes of bullshit. So I really think what's happening now is this is a great opportunity for, just like alternative music when it happened in the beginning, for independent wrestling. Cut it down. Less is more. Put your best shit out there and stay relevant. This isn't about competition anymore. It's not even about survival. There is such an opportunity to put your product out there. If you try to do more content that is longer to compete with those guys, you don't have the production budget. Don't do it. People don't want to see that. One of my teachers, and you're probably going to agree with me, and I'll stop here, Matt Fury, when I got into catch wrestling in the beginning of all this stuff at the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, when it was all kind of still called Vale Todo, he said, you don't got to put a fucking VHS package with the best cover. It's the content that people are going to pay for. That stuck with me. So there are fans for everything. I suggest make it different. Don't make it the same. Because then if you do, then what's the difference of TNA, NXT, WWE?
Yeah, and when AEW started and they were legitimately selling out these 18,000 seat arenas, now they're going to 900 seat ECW arena.
Mm.
Like they were saying they were going to be different and bring it back to old school, and it ended up worse than WWE as far as choreographed matches and like the storylines that just seem like very contrived. I don't know, but so I fully agree with you. It's
Mm.
time for something new to come out that just gives like the misfits a chance. Because also, you know it, and I mentioned it. Like people like you are never going to be used by WWE and AEW because you're not the corporate type. I hope you do, but like there's so much politics blocking certain people from ever getting chances. I find.
Bro, it's it's fucking tough when and you'll appreciate this, when I gotta sit and I know these people that are running the show right now, you know what I'm talking about, and they're playing, they got the halo like they've never committed a sin. It's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I think the indies, I've been a punk rocker way before I was a wrestler, so I'm into punk rock, and I'm a do it yourself. I will always support the underground because I think without the underground, the corporate world will never exist. So I think there's that necessity of having that competition, and some of us just exist better in the underground, man. And I'm one of those dudes.
The one thing I keep hearing that you probably know some about this, like AEW, it's so good for wrestling to have another company, but I've noticed that both companies are hiring people with very little experience and paying them a lot. And when they get released, they just stop wrestling because the indies won't pay them enough and they don't have that passion that you
Mm.
were talking about that you had. So it kind of kills the indies because you know how much there is to be paid on indies unless you're like Billy Corgan or Violent J or something that has some money to invest. It's very hard for like the mom and pop indie promotions to still exist with these people that are making this huge money these days. Whereas in the past there was nowhere else to go. They kind of had to go on the indies.
You know what? That's so important. Uh, I don't know where you are. Where are you? Oh, you are. Um,
They don't want to see me. They want to see you.
no, nobody wants to see me, brother. Believe that. I think that's such an important thing, and seeing it from both sides of the fence. Guys who come from the WWE, well, I'm getting paid $5,000 a week up there. I want the same thing here. Well, okay, fill my arena 5 days, Monday to Friday. Put in 20,000 people so that I can pay the staff and I can pay everything, and then you justify to me why you deserve this. If you're part of a TV production that's on a national network that has hundreds of billions of dollars from investors all over the world invested, do not fucking think for 1 second that you are part of that. You are a fucking employee. That is all you are. You're not involved in buying the ingredients that makes up the fucking menu. You do not deserve a fucking thing. This is what you are getting. Yeah, but it's a lot of money. No, it's not a lot of money. The company has a lot of money. And ethically and in business, that is the percentage you make on your salary that you agreed to accept because you thought you were going to be the one to change the world. You're fucking not. You're part of the machine. The machine doesn't even know who runs the machine. The machine is a corporation. So when all these people come to the indies, yeah, I want $5,000. Yeah, I fucking want $5,000 too. Well, then go be a narco. You'll probably do okay. But in pro wrestling, the way the trend is going now, even me, I want top dollar. I believe after 40 years, I can ask for this. But at the same time, I know if I ask for that, that affects 6 other guys on the card. So I've got to learn how to adapt. A lot of these young kids who go to the fucking tryout camps and it's like, you didn't do the indie things. You like in Mexico, I was on the fucking bus. Sometimes I was working 6 times a day, bro. Things were different then. And I'm not saying, oh, poor me. What I'm saying is Just because you signed a contract in WWE when you were 22 years old because you're a really hot looking girl and you probably ended up fucking half of the people to get that job and you don't know that, you think you're talented, or you're a dude who's all fucking jacked up on roids and you got one cauliflower ear because you took 3 Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes and you can do a moonsault. Now you're a pro wrestler and you deserve $5,000 a week. No, you fucking don't. Did you go to Japan? Did you ride the bus? Did you go without food? Did you have to borrow money to pay your fucking light bill? Do you got to borrow money from your girlfriend's brother so you can buy wrestling gear? Do you need a fucking friend of yours who's a nerd at school who can do all your social media? Be a human being first. Stay humble. The money will come. If you're doing this to make money, then you're in the wrong business. If you're doing this because God gave you a gift to entertain people, be quiet, open your eyes, open your ears, put your time in, and don't think you deserve this. Work for it. Understand that you're going to have to sell merch. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. Or get the fuck out of the business. There's no other way right now.
And the other thing, you mentioned everything you had to go through, and you didn't even talk about the Montreal territory, but do you think like the characters of the 80s and 90s were so crazy as characters and so memorable as characters because they had to pay those dues and go through those wild times to become like a Vampiro or a Roddy Piper or even Andre the Giant? I mean, he was on the road for quite a while before he became super famous. Same with Hulk Hogan.
Bro, I think this is the greatest fucking question. It's almost like the circus, you know what I mean? It's like I ran away from home to join the circus. And once you get there, it's like it's all a fucking hustle. I think that, you know, when I was fortunate enough, I came into the business in 1984 in Montreal. And, you know, there was no TV, there was no internet. So it was like, wait, I can go on the road. I can take all these steroids. I can look like this. I'm going to bang half these fucking girls. You're going to pay me this much money. Where do I sign up? And it was like so Kevin Sullivan, and rest in peace, he told me once the best way that you can get over in wrestling is be who you are outside the ring. And if you think about that, look at the fucking guys that were around in the 1970s and 80s. You cannot find those characters today. These
Mad Dog Vachon.
I mean, come on, bro. Mad Dog Vachon doing a fucking promo in the AWA and he's sawing a piece of wood and the guy comes in and he turns at the camera and he says, how the fuck did you find me? I'm making this guy's coffin. I was like, what did I just, oh my God, I don't fucking know what this is, but fuck horror movies. Who's that psychopath who can't even speak English, got no fucking teeth, and he's hairy and he's building a coffin because he wants to kill Rick Martel? I want to work there. That was fucking awesome. Can you see that today? No. No. Now it's, I am the leader of my family's tribe. No, okay. Sure. Go ahead. So I think that the insanity that we grew up with, you know, it's like punk rock. It's like rock and roll. It's like Kiss. When you saw a picture of Kiss when you were little in school, I know you saw it too. When the Kiss Alive albums came out, and then Kiss Alive 2, and it had a fucking tattoo in there, we all wanted that tattoo because we wanted to be like Kiss, because Kiss is vampires and spacemen, and there's no MTV. I can only get Circus Magazine, and oh my fucking God, he's a vampire. What the hell is that? Now, it's like you go into Dick's Sporting Goods, and there's the pro wrestling section where you can get your training gear, and it's got nothing to do with wrestling. So call me crazy, dude.
And where you're talking about some of these guys making a lot of...
Is this okay?
Yeah, no, it's great.
Okay.
For CMLL, when they're using guys like MJF, I know MJF makes supposedly $5 million a year in AEW. Is CMLL paying them, or is like AEW paying their wrestlers to appear in CMLL because Tony Khan really likes CMLL for whatever reason? I know you're one of the biggest stars in the history of CMLL, so you probably know some inside information on that, whether it's like a collaboration or if, because I can't see them paying MJF what he's making in AEW.
This is not what it looks like.
Well, it's legal in California, anyways, isn't it?
This is protein enhanced. And I just need some effects, like a horror movie.
Hey, you're supposed to have smoke in the background of videos. Supposedly, it helps the quality of videos.
Hopefully, it helps my fucking mind not think about wrestling too much. Thanks to you. Do you remember when WCW used to send guys over to Japan?
Yeah.
New Japan. I think that there was a fee paid to WCW, $1 million, and they had access to certain talents to come across seas once or twice a year. I think it's something similar like that. I don't think that the CMLL can afford that type of salary if it's true. Is there a deal worked out in AEW where that is considered a show as part of his contract? I think what I hear from the WWE people, like the talent circle, is they're fucking pissed because they don't want to wrestle in Mexico. They left Mexico to become WWE talent, but now, being that they're not really working up there, I'm talking about a lot of the mid-card Latino guys, they're being shipped off to Mexico, and they don't want to do that because it's part of their money. So I almost think that if the AEW guys are going, I'm sure the Arena Mexico can afford to pay them something. But none of these guys are on tour. Even look at AAA. All these American guys would come in and they would only do one show, one TV show. So for them to be making money in Mexico, they got to be there. They got to be on the road. So I don't think that they're paying that money. I'm sure the travel arrangements and all of that and top level, and I'm sure, but are they making that money? I don't see it. The economy can't sustain it. I don't see it.
Now, I think you've made up with Jericho over the years, but here's something you could neutrally give your opinion on. I don't think he's wrestled in AEW for like 7 months, and supposedly he makes $6 million a year. What do you think of Tony Khan's policy of, if a wrestler's going to go to WWE, they should just let him sit at home rather than still use them on the show? Because it seems like he does that to these guys, and then they jump to WWE and they go in there fresh because they've had a break. I know you've been a booker. Like, are you more agreeing with that, or do you think you should use a guy while he's under contract right until he leaves?
Is
His contract expires at the end of December, apparently.
And is he going to WWE?
It hasn't been. I guess he can't negotiate until that point or something. But the rumor is he might.
That's fucking awesome. Look, first, I am sure that there is a lot of guys in the wrestling business who hate me, and rightly so. I'm sure I was a bad person. I'm sure I've done things to piss people off. I'm sure when you're young and you're fighting in a business where you have access to everything and your fame is mental, where are you mentally, right? Because you don't have any guides. So if I've done anything to offend Chris over the years and he's called it out, then he called it out for a reason, and I've apologized, and I'll do it again for whatever was said or done. Until we sit down in person and he tells me exactly what it is, I have no clue. But I've got nothing but respect for Chris. I think that Chris is let's not forget the politics and the rumors and the gossip. If you really want to look at somebody who's elevated the bar, who's done everything, who's bucked the system, he's done okay for himself. I don't know if he's making that kind of money and he's sitting at home. If he is, give me that recipe. You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't see a company saying, hey, he's got a year left. Let's just sit him at home because he's going to hurt the product. I don't. Fuck, dude. I don't think so. I don't think he's. I'm sure Chris is at the point in his life and his career that he's as useful behind the scenes as he is in front of the camera. I don't think you need to use Chris every week. But I really don't know. I hope that young people stay away from the gossip and they look at what he's doing and try to emulate those steps. If you really want to make it on different levels in this business, you can, but you got to have some thick fucking skin because you're going to be up against some sharks for sure.
So if that is true, which it is true that they're not using him for whatever reason, they're having him sit at home, you would say, hey, let's use him for something, whether it's
Yeah.
backstage, because it's not going to make him any hotter when he goes to WWE if it's straight out of AEW or not.
Look, if he's hot in AEW and he's hot in WWE, if he goes to WWE and that becomes hot, it automatically is going to make people watch AEW to see how they're going to counterattack that. So at this stage, I don't see the big difference. I think it's actually beneficial. And I think wrestling now, come on, man. You just turn on fucking YouTube. I'm here in Los Angeles looking out the window. There's 25 events. I'm on tour right now with ICP. We just went to a festival and we did like 100,000 people there. And there was 30 fucking acts. People are playing. People are working. Is it AEW or WWE? Who really gives a fuck? They're both businesses. If you're lucky enough to get a job in either one, take advantage of it by doing the best you can so that the business continues. So, Chris, ask him, Chris, are you leaving? If you're leaving, what do you want to do in the meantime? I want to stay home and you pay me. Okay. I want to be backstage. I want to learn more. Okay. I don't think they're getting, I think Chris is smart enough that he's going to choose what he needs to do for him. And I think that AEW or WWE at this stage just needs to let him do that because who else can give what he can bring? A lot of guys have only been wrestlers. Chris has done TV. He's doing podcasting. He's doing rock and roll. He's doing cruises. He's doing all kind of shit. So I think I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to his whole presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The doctor's asking, I know you did a movie about addiction issues, which I have not seen that movie yet. Doctor's asking if you're clean of pills. Do you want to answer that and tell us about that movie?
Sure. I didn't do a movie about it. I talk about it 10 times a day on all my social media platforms, and I deal with that on a daily basis. I had a huge addiction to sleep meds and pain meds when I was younger. But when I stopped them, I started using them out of curiosity. So when I decided to stop it, it was easy to do. I didn't really even go through withdrawal. I smoke marijuana. I even have my own brand of marijuana. I think marijuana is what saved my life. It's what's, I was misdiagnosed with the first steps of going into some pretty heavy Alzheimer's and stuff like that. My brain trauma and the injuries in my nerves and my neck was misdiagnosed. It had me up to 360 pounds in a fucking wheelchair. I started with my diet. I started with biohacking. I started with peptides. I started with testosterone replacement. I started with meditations and frequencies, dedicated my life to ritual magic and medicinal marijuana use. And I think thanks to that, even, with psychedelics, microdosing, I truly believe that I can't really give a fuck what anybody's opinion is about that because it's given me a quality of life. My family eats because of it, and I'm helping hundreds of millions of people worldwide with all and I say hundreds of millions, yes, because I'm part of, the Guardian Angels. I also do work with UNICEF. I also do work with cancer, kids with cancer. So there's such a large movement going on. And it's all because I use these alternative medications. So when a doctor says, yes, Vamp, are you off pills? Of course I'm off pills. But if you're a doctor, ask me about stem cells, ask me about peptides, ask me about alternative medicines, and just simply changing your fucking frequency in eating food. If food has more than one name, it ain't fucking food. It's a chemical. So once I got into that lifestyle and I'm really promoting it, dude, I'm 60 years old and I'm touring Latin America with my band. We're playing every fucking night. I'm on the road with JCW. I'm podcasting 8 podcasts a week in 2 languages. I'm producing television. I'm studying. I'm going back to university. I'm getting my degree in psychology. So Is alternative medicine bad? No. Am I off pills? 100%. And I'm
Now,
a fucking Teletubby.
yeah, there. That's a great dance. But as far as Canada, what do you think of Canada? Stem cells and
Oh,
peptides are
I
still
thought
illegal there. Because I've had them both as well, and it's like we have to come to the U.S. to get it.
just call
It's
me,
ridiculous. Yeah,
dude. I think it's really sad that Canada is so fucking anal on so many stupid things. And Canada's a great place. Canada's got so many humble people that you go to, a small town. I'm from Thunder Bay. You go to Thunder Bay or anywhere else, and you try to get into emergency or you try to get mental health help. It's fucking impossible. Can you imagine if you have suicidal tendencies and you go to
yeah.
get mental health help, and they say, "Yeah, make an appointment in 8 months. We'll tell you when your appointment is." I
Trust me,
really
I know firsthand.
so I really think that parents need to start to listen to their children because their children are more in tune with what's going on in the world, meaning they have access to knowledge and information that marijuana, oh, that's drugs. No, it's fucking not. It's in the Bible. How do you think the apostles talked to God? You guys sitting in church? Churches didn't even fucking exist. By taking psychedelics to go into a meditation and go into a higher realm of frequencies to open up portals? Yes. Is that paganism? Is that drug abuse? Well, it's called Christianity. So I really truly think that Canada needs to fucking step it up, back off, stop with your fucking discrimination, and just stop trying to make every fucking dime that you can off your bullshit medicines and help your people. But that's just me.
Someone wants to know if you have any stories
Are we
from
doing this live?
Yes.
Bang energy drink is much more healthier than Monster because Monster, although I drink Monster 10 times a day and I wish those cocksuckers would sponsor me, Bang is better for you because it has less chemicals that are going to fuck with your brain.
Hey, what do you think about kratom? You
But who
must have
wants to know
tried it.
what? Ask Kratom. I almost killed me. I'll tell you about that later. But who's asking a question? That fucking Kratom stuff, dude. I took that. You know who gave it to me was the guy who beat Brock in UFC.
Mark Hunt.
No, Frank.
Oh,
Frank.
Frank Mir. Frank Mir.
We were, and he was like, "Bro," I was like, "What?" He goes, "Do you know about this?" And this was before COVID in Vegas, because we were doing some MMA bullshit out there. And I was like, "No, man." He goes, "Look, man, I want to fucking kill these people, but I take this and I'm okay." And being a intelligent pro wrestler, I was like, "How many? One? So then give me 10." And so it was one of those experiences. And it's not for me, bro.
Yeah, well, there's different types, and I've found out firsthand they all have different effects. Some will wake you up, and some will knock you straight out.
Yeah, I woke up and my ass was sore, and I was like, I ain't fucking taking that again. What the hell?
Yeah. Do you believe here's a bit of a controversial one, but they're trying to say Sabu couldn't walk before, and I have no issues with the company that had him wrestle, but they're trying to claim he went from not being able to walk the day of his last match to taking kratom, and then he could suddenly have a match. To me, kratom is not that strong to actually make you go from being so much pain you can't walk to be able to have a match.
I don't know enough about it, but
Yeah.
even that, you know Sabu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know me. It's like, look, if we have so much passion. Oh, the company's responsible. No, they're not. They fucking are not. Sabu decided to live his life his way. So leave him alone. Did he take it? Of course he did. We all know Sabu. Would I take it? If I had a match and I was in pain and I was about to go out there and it meant something to my heart and soul as a human being, for me, fuck yeah. Would I ask your permission? No. Would I give a fuck if you criticized it? No. Is it wrong? Is it right? Does it matter? So I think it's all a thing of perception, but that's bullshit, man. The company's responsible. No, they're fucking not, dude. No, they're not.
And we both knew him. I mean, that's almost poetic the way that he went out. It's like, was he really living that high quality of a life that if he had lived another 20 years in the pain that he was in, not being able to compete, like, would he have been happy with his wife just passing away?
No, I mean, dude, look at Lemmy from Motorhead. He was dying of cancer. If you look at YouTube and you look at one of the last concerts of Motorhead live, the band is playing one song, the crowd is singing, and Lemmy's playing another. He's just, but did anybody say anything? Fuck no. Look at Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne knew. He passed away and rest in peace. He passed away 2 weeks after. You know, an artist or an athlete or a person, a teacher, a painter, anybody who's dedicated their life to their calling, it's not up to you to opinionate. It's not. What you're going to say to Jesus Christ? Hey, don't fucking tell these Romans that you're the son of God. They're going to fucking crucify you. Oh, okay. I'll tell everybody about the Romans. Do you know what I mean? It's like Jesus fucking knew. Well, yeah, you know, I'm going to turn 33 and that's it. As a comparison, as a mindset. So don't fucking give a bunch of feedback and attack Devin or me talking about that. I'm using it as an example because a lot of you are fucking slow and I got to, you know, bring you up to speed quick. So don't get all fucking out of joint. This fucking back off. You're not the one doing the art. You're not the one stepping in the ring. You're not the one who fucking bled for this. You're not the one. So don't watch it when it's done and opinionate on it. If you really cared, step in before and say, hey, what kind of medical or mental health help can I get you? Don't watch about it after he passed away and criticize what he did. Just don't do that. That's just me.
So here's this guy's question. Any stories with actress Lucia Mendez from Mexico? Or if I'm saying her name right.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay.
Not that, you know, I'm sorry. No. That's a no.
So we mentioned Mad Dog Vachon. Did you ever meet him? And who are some of the Quebec guys? Because that was a pretty hot time for Quebec wrestling when you were starting off there. What was that like?
My father, Louis the Farmer Lawrence. He's the one who got me to Mexico. He was there. Rest in peace, Frenchie Martin. Rest in peace, Dino Bravo. Edward Carpentier. And you know what I mean? Fucking Joe LeDuc. Bob De La Sera and Rocky De La Sera. Man, Montreal, the Sheik. Not the Detroit Sheik. There was another Sheik. You know, Sonny Warcloud. International wrestling in Montreal at the time. You know, the WWF used to come up to Montreal, bring up their whole crew, and do house shows. One of my first house shows was Brody, Flair, Martel, Hanson, Warriors. How the fuck? And Bulldogs, Rougeau brothers, and a couple guys from Newfoundland. Sonny Warcloud was there. That was one of my first house show dressing rooms. Bro, there was shit going on in Montreal, and it was like, I don't even know what I'm seeing. Abdullah was a mainstay there. You know, you would go to World Gym, and the Rougeaus would be in there working out with the Bulldogs. I'd be like, so as a kid, in love and obsessed and trying to become a pro wrestler, hanging around these guys, you know, and then they see you in the dressing room, and that's when in those days, the hazing was very different. But then after about 6 months, you know, those are the guys who took me in the ring. Bro, I don't need WrestleMania. WrestleMania could never give me what I had there. You know what I mean? That was so fucking awesome.
I know you were having Haku as your bodyguard in Mexico, but did you know him from Montreal as well? Because he was part of the Montreal territory.
I met the other Samoans there.
Okay.
Met the other Samoans there. But, you know, Haku wasn't my bodyguard because I chose him. It was like, this fucking kid is 22 years old. He's look, this asshole is wrestling 5 and 6 times a day. He's drawing 30 to 40,000 people a day. And the guys are jealous, and he's getting his ass kicked. What can we do? So it was Vampiro, Haku, and Chavo Guerrero Sr., rest in peace. Chavo because of the language and to fucking straighten me out because I was an idiot, and Haku to fucking put me in place, but also Haku to take care. When you saw Haku spit on his bicep 3 times, you fucking knew that whoever was on the other end of that better stay away from this guy because Haku, one time they had me in a full Nelson and another guy was kicking me in front. Haku hit the fucking guy who was kicking me, and all three of us went outside of the ring. It was like getting hit by a car. What a crazy time. But yeah, Jesus Christ. And then when I would fuck up, Haku would be like, okay, kid, you grab him in the Nelson, and then, for the finish, he's going to get out, and I'll hit you, and they'll pin you. Brother, if he kicked me or he hit me, I knew to smarten up. Yeah, well, yeah.
Did you have real security around you too? Because as you mentioned, you were like a rock star there pretty much. Is there anything equivalent to that today? I know Mystico's popular, but I don't think he's quite on the level you were at.
This is a question I hate so much, and I actually have some videos that when I'm not lazy, which is hardly ever, I send them out, to people who want to see. But man, I don't know what happened, but wrestling wasn't on television. And when I got there, the government was kind of just changing over from something, and they didn't allow live music or certain American television programs to be on TV at that time. So when I got there, pro wrestling had literally been on TV for 2 or 3 months. MTV had just gotten there, and they lifted the ban on American rock acts or European. So Metallica played, U2 played, UB40. They were really hot at the time. So all these, within 2-3 months, it was just like this fucking thing of energy and entertainment. And Guns N' Roses and all these bands were like, they blew the fuck up. And all these nightclubs were opening up, and rock and roll was on fire. But people couldn't go see those bands because they wouldn't come to Mexico. And if they did, nobody had money for those kind of tickets. But you can go around the corner in a small part of town, and there's a wrestling show that kids get in for free, and the tickets are cheap, and beer is cheap. And there is a guy who looks just like those fucking dudes on MTV. And that's where I came in. So I came in with the whole Hollywood vampire thing at the exact moment it hit. And that's what it was. It was never about wrestling. I couldn't fucking wrestle my way out of a paper bag. I've learned a few things, of course, but was I a great technical wrestler? Not at all. Was I a rock and roll guy who looked just like that on television that you can touch? Yeah. So it was, and I was 19. I was 20 years old. There was real Justin Bieber. It was stupid. It had nothing to do with wrestling. Sometimes I had to get like a military escort to go into certain arenas, or a police escort, and nobody knew what was going on. But it was not to get me out of the building. It was to get me in the fucking building. And sometimes we would have to, the people wouldn't let us leave. They would do 3 or 4 shows in the same building, one after the other, because there was just too many people outside. I can't explain it. I can't make you believe it. I can't compare it to anything, because even in rock and roll, and I've been around a lot of rock and roll. I mean, in the 80s, I was part of the MTV crew. So I was on all the world tours. I've seen super fucking stars. I'm not better or worse than any of them, but I had that experience. I was the character in that chapter of youth culture. It was fucking nuts. A lot of the scars I have on my body are not from gigging or getting hit. They're from girls ripping my clothes off and pulling my hair out. All this here, this one fucking girl ripped up my braids. It's like, I didn't know what was going on. One time I went to McDonald's. You can ask Norman Smiley about this. It took 3 hours to get us out of there, to a fucking McDonald's. So I don't know what that was. Did it fuck me up? To this day, I can't. I got social anxiety. I got so much anxiety because of what happened. A lot of people don't. And that's when you start taking drugs and drinking, because it's like, this is surreal. It's like in high school in Thunder Bay, I would get beaten up or I would get laughed at. I couldn't get a date if I fucking paid a hooker. You know what I mean? Just as an example for conversation. Not that I would do that.
Yeah, because it's like a kind of a hick town in some ways. God bless them there, because
you
they
go to
like
Mexico
us there.
and you get these actresses that want to go out with you. It's like, what are you talking about? So did I have fun? No.
Was the character, were you already doing that? Because it seems like you went from being like a opening match guy in Montreal to very quickly after you're as big a star. are as like
Did I go?
Mexico was even hotter than WWE at that point because WWE was like on the downswing in the early
You
'90s.
can't even compare the two.
Yeah.
I did 2 matches in Montreal. I was 14, 15 years old, man. I was like the ring guy. I was.
Oh, so it's fake on the internet because it says, "Oh, you wrestled for International Pro Wrestling as an opening match guy for years before you went to Mexico."
I had 2 matches.
Okay.
One with Rick Martel and one with Steve DeSalvo. And then
He
the
was
company.
supposedly a bully too, right? Did I hear? Is that correct? Steve DeSalvo, did he rough you up at all?
He was my boy. I mean, we were tight. So did he fuck other people up? Probably. Did he? Not me though. I'm too cute and likable. So I
Where is
survived.
he now?
I
He's
I
like
heard I heard he got married to a very wealthy woman, beautiful woman, and he became a real estate agent, very successful in Calgary. But I haven't heard about him in about 20 years.
Wow. Okay, so how did you make that transition then to the Vampiro character?
Um, I've always been. Vampiro was an incarnation of Sid Vicious and Billy Idol. That, the leather jacket, the rock and roll, the rockabilly, the Stray Cats, all that Vampiro came from those photos of those guys, and then the punk rock attitude. So I was Vampiro since I was like 11, and the character is really not a character. There's a bar in Los Angeles, the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and I podcast from there. In the Rainbow Bar and Grill, there's a little hidden room. This hidden room is on the second floor, and it's called the Vampires Cafe or the Vampires Lounge. And there's a piece of paper that's from the 1970s signed by Alice Cooper, the guys from the Monkees, Ringo Starr, John Lennon, The Who, Jim Morrison, Led Zeppelin, all these fucking rock and roll stories, of satanic rituals and banging girls and doing fucking drugs. And it happened in the Vampires Lounge that became Hollywood Vampires. The band exists today, to this day. Alice Cooper was the founder. His name's on the paper. Johnny Depp is in the band, Joe Perry. So when I was a fan of all of this shit, I bought the Anne Rice novels, and I really fell in love with the vampire Lestat. He was a street musician. I was a street musician. He was a rebel. I was a rebel. He was young. I was young. So I kind of took all of what I was doing in life and put a name to it because of those books. I had no fucking idea about the Vampires Lounge, and Hollywood Vampires was a real thing. I thought, oh my God, what a coincidence. Johnny Depp's playing in a band, same name, all the time. Anyways, now, about 2 months ago, I went to see LA Guns, and I met Tracy Guns, the guitar player. And I said, Tracy, you're the image. You're the guy that made this. And I gave him one of my dolls. And I said, thanks to you, I had this career. And the owner of the club heard me, and he said, have you ever seen the Vampires? I didn't even fucking know it existed. So he took me there, and I'm like, I was born here. So I am legitimately a son of rock and roll. That is so fucking cool. Then I begged him. I said, dude, I got to be able to podcast from here. So I go in there every Mondays and Tuesdays and by myself in the bar, and it's fucking haunted. And I just podcast in this little dark room. There's only got one little red light bulb. It's fucking awesome. So that's where it all happened. And that's what it is, man. So was I a job guy in Montreal? No, fuck no. When Montreal went out of business, Louis Laurence, he said, you can go to Memphis, Japan, or Mexico. You go to Japan, you got to get invited. You got to live in a dojo. And Memphis, it ain't going to happen. Calgary, they ain't going to fucking take you. Mexico, if you really want to learn. And I did an armed robbery. I think the I checked. I'm okay. I took that money.
It's 7 years.
Yeah, and I ended up in Mexico, bro, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, actually, regarding that angel devil hero, you're very open about criminal stuff in that. I guess it was all statute of limitations, so you...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but bro, in Montreal, who the fuck? In Japan, anywhere there's pro wrestling or boxing or rock and roll, who the fuck do you think finances half of that and washes their money? I mean, come on. The mob is involved in everything, dude. And was I involved in the mob? I still am. Who the fuck do you think my friends are?
Yeah, I always heard. Well, Gino Brito, he was arrested for loan sharking for and went to jail for it. Dino Bravo was killed over it. The
It was
Rougeos supposedly had
their,
connections.
their father was a fucking heavyweight. There was a lot of heavyweights in Montreal in 1950s, 1940s, Al Capone type guys. Like when the mob, people would go to wrestling dressed in a suit and tie, and it was a whole other fucking thing. And I was there when that unfortunate incident happened with Dino Bravo. I was in Japan when that other fucking guy, the guy dressed like a samurai, I forget his name right now, Hashimoto. I mean, dude, I've seen some shit. And in Mexico, I don't even want to mention that right now. But yeah, the mafia in Japan, it's the Yakuza. They fucking, sometimes wrestling, there's no people. But why are all these big American stars going over there and coming back with handfuls of cash? Well, the Yakuza would give them sponsor money. In Mexico, who do you think finances half of these shows? And there's always that element of the underworld involved with us. And it just is what it is, man. In Montreal, come on, man.
What could you share with us about the Dino Bravo that's not going to get anyone in trouble? What do you know about that?
I'll say it like this. I live in Ontario. So on the border of Ontario and the United States, there are different Native Canadian Indian reserves. Some of those reserves are on the border so that you have half the land, on either side of the country, and it's literally crossing the street. So some groups find it very easy to have a ship from another country go to a port somewhere in the country, and then things go on a train, and then they go to another part of the country, then they go into a truck, and then they get to a food supply or a school supply or something on a reserve. And if you cross the border on a reserve, the jurisdiction lies within that community. Law enforcement cannot go in. So certain tariffs for goods and services are not collected by certain agencies. And those agencies are even worse than the underground. So what was going on back then, one of the biggest money makers, in Mexico, a lot of people think drugs, the cartel sells drugs. Gasoline is a $1 billion industry on the underground. In Canada, cigarettes and cigarette taxes are a big fucking deal. In Mexico too. I'll leave that one alone for a minute about that. But when you're have the opportunity to, if a cigarette, I don't even know what it costs in Canada. Let's say it costs $15 a package, $10 a package. If I can get that same package for $4, there's business, there's money. When you're getting garbage bags of money, people's accountability changes. Things happen. Hey, you were supposed to bring me something yesterday, not a month from now. Happened one time. Whatever scenario you want to paint on it. If you really analyze what happened to Dino Bravo, no forced entry, all the details, right? It happened, somebody knew him, whatever. There was no struggle. It's unfortunate when you play in a scenario that you try to do more than you are afforded. You got to know your role, stay in your position, don't overstep boundaries. And no matter where you go in life, because somebody's watching, something's going to happen. There's somebody who wants what you have. I really think that Dino Bravo, it's really easy to say he did this, he did that, he shouldn't have. You weren't there. You don't know what the fuck was going on. Was he in the right place at the wrong time, wrong place at the right time? Who the fuck knows? Who cares? Is it sad? Very, very fucking sad. But nobody ever mentions, you know what? Good, bad, or ugly, there's a good human being whose family went on in life without him. So it's unfortunate that this business lets people go to that level. And I really think if this business had more counseling, had more alternatives to talk, or if the bosses who have trillions of fucking dollars sees somebody slipping, hey man, do the right fucking thing, help him out, get him on his feet. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I'd like to leave that.
We always hear that the reason Dynamite Kid never got revenge on Rougeau was because Rougeau told Dino Bravo to pass along a message that if anything further happened, certain people would get involved. Do you believe that version of the story? Because it seems like Dynamite Kid would be very offended that he basically got attacked with the roll of quarters there, and it's weird that he never got revenge, being as violent as he was.
I think you've been in fights. In the heat of the moment, you motherfucker, I'm sure right then and there, shit was said. Just bit my ass. I'm sorry. I think that when you have two high profile people in public and there's threats made, it's very fucking difficult to get revenge because there's legal shit happening. I truly think that Dynamite, if it's true, would have said, lock the fucking door, it's me and you, or we'll do it in the ring. From the little bit that I know about Dynamite Kid, am I right or wrong? I don't know. Dynamite Kid was a fucking skinhead from England. East End kind of kid, you know what I'm saying? Street guy. He didn't fucking grow up innocently. I mean, you walk around like that in England, you just look at the way he fucking walks when he was younger, you know, with his arms out and the head up, you know, and the fucking head shaved. That's not a gimmick. Those are streets. That's a message. If you're a street guy and you know street culture, you're being fucking told something by that posture. So I think in his character, I think he would have fought one-on-one right fucking there, right then, or just called it out. Do I think that the threats were made? Sure, of course. But again, when you're in the public eye, there weren't cell phones back then, but you have witnesses. Now that you've spoken about it and it's out there, you can't go and pick that fight because you're first suspect.
And I'm not trying to start any heat with Rougeau because he had a hand in my training, but he always goes around saying that he's the only Canadian to ever beat Hulk Hogan. You also beat Hulk Hogan, just to set the record straight on that, right? In WCW? Yeah.
If my penis had a name called Hulk Hogan, I fucking beat it 20 times a day. Does that help you? Yeah, I love the Rougeaus, brother. I do. And I was fortunate enough to pin Hulk Hogan on a Nitro, and I was very fortunate enough to be his partner on a Nitro, and I was humbled to be his friend. So, but I'm not Canadian.
That might be where it could be a legitimate thing where he might think you're Mexican or something. Who knows?
Well, if you're from Thunder Bay, you're a whole other fucking breed.
Yeah. Thunder Bay would probably separate from Canada. They'd be with Alberta on the separation, I would imagine, actually.
I think fucking Thunder Bay was separated from the world a long time ago, brother.
Yeah. Well, at some point, we got to do another show there.
Brother, I got 15 minutes, man. You go for it, bro.
Yeah. El Dandy's saying, and I don't know anything about this.
Fuck. Bro, that's right. We did it at the Fort William Gardens. And yeah. Brother, you scared the shit out of me. Brother, I didn't meet you before. I haven't met you before that day. I used to hear this shit about you. I'm like, I don't say no to drugs, kids, especially this brand.
What is that? Is that just a strong type of weed?
Bro, California.
You're making us all jealous. Everyone in the comments is like, give us some of this.
It's got some kind of fucking oil on it and some other kind of substance on this, and inside this paper there's the glass tip. Oh, and there's a little bit of hash and some kind of wax in here. California, baby.
But we will go back to Thunder Bay one day before we get too
No, but
old, because people
no,
still talk about that all the time. It's just so expensive to put on events there.
bro, I was like, this fucking guy is gonna hit me with this fucking chair so fucking hard. I was like, hey man, it's good to meet you, brother. It's, can I be your friend? Because I was like, he's gonna fucking kill me. And then I found that I wasn't working with you. I was so happy. I thought you were gonna fucking murder me, but it was. I always wondered, because I tried to do what you did, wrestle and put on shows. I don't know how you hold that stress, bro. Fuck that. I don't know. That's a lot.
It's incredibly stressful. El Dandy wants to know, what was your talk with Twizzard at a convention? I don't know anything about this. What were you saying to them? ICP has a beef with them. Were you like holding on to the beef and confronting them about it?
Not at all. Not at all. I just, friends that I haven't seen in over a decade. It was just, hey man, you know what I mean? This is a great surprise. How you been? It was kind of like that. No, not at all. Not at all.
Mort Goldberg Talent says, you seem like exactly what Vince would have wanted in the mid to late 90s. Did you ever meet with
what
Vince?
What the hell? No, I did not. No, never. I met one time in 1990 with George the Animal Steel, and he said, and JJ Dillon, when JJ Dillon was in the WWE, he said, "No, kid, there's nothing here. We couldn't do anything with you." And this is when I was selling out arenas in Mexico, and they didn't even know that. And I said, "Hey man, I'm here on a break from my tour, and I literally live behind the building. I just came to see the show, and I didn't know how it worked." I said, "I did this in Montreal, I did this in Mexico, and I'm one of the workers. May I come in and say hello?" And they were just fucking dicks, dude. They were dicks. I came to them with a whole plan, pictures and everything, and I gave them a whole thing. I don't want to tell. I'll tell you off camera, but they said that your idea is bullshit. And 6 months later, one of the biggest names in the history of our industry and any company came out with my gimmick. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and I think we all know who you're talking about there.
Conan, what the hell?
Someone's asking about how your CTE effects are going. Are you dealing with it pretty well with all these supplements?
100%. I got into the biohacking community, and there are so many supplements out there if you understand how to take them and mixing them with peptides and all that kind of stuff. Like, I had no fucking idea that creatine would help with dementia, preventing dementia at certain times in the day. And I had no idea with how important gut health was, or even listening to different frequencies and even speaking in a certain cadence. All of that is going to affect your brain. I'm doing great. My memory is so. I still got a lot of nerve damage, but I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm the eternal pain in the ass kid, and I'm loving life, man. I'm on tour with a music project. I'm doing the stuff you're doing. I'm involved with Lunacy and JCW. I reunited with my brothers in ICP. I'm fucking happy, man. I'm real happy.
Someone wants to know your thoughts on UK gangster and actor Dave Courtney's suicide, who you worked with in the Dead Sleep Easy movie.
Oh, I would see myself doing something exactly the same. I knew Dave, and his cancer was incurable. He was in pain. He's done everything he wanted to do. He didn't want to be a burden. It was his decision. I understood it. It hurt. I hated it. But if I was terminally ill and I almost, you know what? Because of Dave Courtney, I made the decision myself to end my life. And it was about 3.5 years ago. And I'd given up. I wasn't getting any better. I was getting sicker. And I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anything. I didn't have no one to help me. I made sure my daughter was going to be okay. And I had decided to give up. And I had decided to end my life. And I was ready. It wasn't a thing of yes, no, maybe. No, everything was in order. And I got a call to do, I had made a commitment to go do a fan fest and autograph thing and all that kind of stuff. And I was so fucking miserable, dude. I was like, I ain't fucking going. I was seconds away from going through with this, literally. And I was humming and hawing, and I remember I was on live radio, and I was doing my show, and I was like, I don't want to fucking go, and I don't want to take a flight. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to be here anymore. I was saying goodbye. It was like really intense. And I had something to pay. I don't know what it was, but I had something to pay for my dog. I had some bullshit thing, and I was like literally almost on the street. And I went and I got on the plane and I was fucking miserable and I was broken and I couldn't even walk and my shoes were full of holes and I was depressed and I wasn't taking care of myself. And everybody was like, dude, you need help, man. We're scared. And I said, you fucking should be. You know what I mean? It was bad, brother. Real fucking bad. I had no access to mental health stuff. I was really sick, really, really sick. And I got to the hotel and I went to my room and I was bitching and I was fucking complaining and I hated everything. And I said, fuck this fucking guy. And I said, I'm going to go fucking down with this fucking promoter and I'm going to beat his fucking ass. I lost control. I got in the elevator and I was fucking mad and I did my leather jacket up really tight and I said, fuck it, I'm fucking going to go. It's I didn't even know what I was doing. And the elevator door opened in the lobby. And I head down and I walked out and I was like, I was hit by a punch from God that was my first and only time I can say I truly was reborn. I existed in this world, but I was born on that moment. I understood life. I understood breath. I understood twin flame. I understood love. I understood God's plan. I had met a girl when I was married. I was never unfaithful to my wife. And I had met a girl who was also in another scenario. But when you meet somebody, man, woman, race, color, sexual orientation, it doesn't fucking matter. When you meet your twin flame, when you meet your message from God, you understand why you're here, period. And when I had met this person, it was close to 30 years ago, but it was only in an instant, you can live a lifetime. Infinity number of lifetimes. And that's what happened. Nothing happened, but I just knew there was something. And this is really outside the realm of wrestling and everything and whatever. This is something extremely spiritual. This is extremely other level of consciousness. This is something from source. Source to me is God. I'm a Freemason. I have another point of view on all kind of magic and rituals and whatever. And you can ask me all about it. But source is our creator. You know what I mean? Like in the Masonic symbol, you have the G. That's not for God. That's for the great architect, the Gran Arquitecto, the great architect of the universe.
What level of Freemason are you, by the way?
I just went to the third because I wanted to I didn't want to stay in the house. I wanted to get into becoming a Templar. So I'm on that road right now. And you only need to become a Master Mason. So I became a Master Mason. Anyways, my shit is when this person was there. And this person just looked at me and said, I manifested you 2 nights ago. I said to God, why is my life miserable? Why am I not happy? Why have I not found what was or why? Because, when you have trauma, you talk to God. And this person said, have I never been loved? Where is it? And it was me. So when I came out of the elevator and it was literally like a movie, we banged into each other. That moment is the moment I became alive. I changed. I understood that God really is real. My version of it. It was just probably the best moment in my life. And that right there was proof of miracles, because I didn't need medicine. I didn't need anything to start getting better and changing my mindset. It was love, and love is free. Love is from God. So that was probably the most intense moment I've ever had in my life. And I love sharing it because so many people are scared to be happy, to say, I'm in love. Love changed me. I love it. So even though I exist in this fucked up world and I'm in industrial death music and I'm Vampiro and wrestling and all kind of fucked up stuff, I'm so at peace, man. I'm just so at peace, brother.
Well, that's very good to hear. I'm happy to hear that. And let's just look at some of these tour dates. Actually, speaking of Freemasons, October 31st, Halloween, you guys are going to be at the Masonic Temple in Detroit.
Oh, it's fucking insane. Yeah.
You're going all over the
It's haunted as a motherfucker. And plus, we're going to be like one night before is Devil's Night. And it just, brother, very quickly, I wanted to tell you, I'm working with Bloody Disgusting, which is like a big horror thing. So I'm really, really focused on my paranormal stuff. Wrestling is kind of like new again for me, but I'm so involved in the world of paranormal and ritual magic and studying ancient history. I'm getting into documentaries and creating.
What are your thoughts on the Three-Eye Atlas, this giant rock the size of Manhattan coming? Are you aware of this? Do you think it has anything to do with aliens? It's coming. There's going to be a picture of it next week as it passes by Mars, but it's this giant rock the size of Manhattan. It's going to be behind the sun October 29th. Some people are speculating it's going to gather energy from the sun and possibly come towards Earth. Speaking of paranormal, have you heard about this?
Yes. And I really think that, it's not like the Earth and the sun that we're just moving and we're stationary. The universe is constantly expanding. So the sun, the moon, the planets, it's constantly moving as well. So for you to tell me in that fucking infinitive of space that on this date at this time, it looks like, okay, that's pretty fucking cool. Do I think it's an alien thing? I hope so. I hope so. It would be so awesome. I think, look, I'll say it like this. COVID, you should know, Hollywood always tells us 10, 15, 20 years in advance what's going to happen. Star Trek is a fucking example. Just a communicator. Well, wasn't it an iPhone? So they usually kind of do these things, letting us know in the public their knowledge that they've been given by up there to see how we're going to react so they can see how to control things. Everybody says, oh, you're fucking crazy. That's not true. Well, they're trying to kind of teach us, we're going to go to another planet. Society is ending. What would happen if we didn't have iPhones, if we didn't have Wi-Fi, if there was no banking, if there was no supplies, if there was no communication? How would society degenerate, right? When you tell me about that fucking rock, well, the society degenerating, like I just explained, that was kind of COVID. But 10 years before COVID, it was The Walking Dead. So you telling me that this is going to come and them giving us the dates and saying, they already fucking knew. This is their WrestleMania. They knew that finish 20 years ago, brother. So when you get involved in the Masons and you start getting into rituals and you start getting into ritual magic and you start getting into the occult and you start getting into cults and you start getting into the underground of all of this, you have people with brilliant minds, whistleblowers. You have access to different things. You don't know, but you're around people who really know. Alternative medicines, peptides, the new thing. There's over 700 peptides. And basically, it's just replacing amino acids in your DNA to avoid what makes you sick. Well, isn't that what the Anunnaki did when they took the genes out of our system to not let us live 200 years, but to keep it down to 80? So if you really start to study this stuff, bro, I can go deep with you all fucking day on it. So am I going to be watching it? I'm going to be smoking about 10 of these, and I'll be front row.
Very good. Well, someday we'll have to do
Get
one
me out of
just
here,
on
then we
that.
can do shows in space. What the hell? What?
Last question here, because the guy just got arrested this week, Raja Jackson. A fan is asking, what are your thoughts on that as a wrestler? Should he have even been in the dressing room, bullying wrestlers in the dressing room? What would you have done if you were behind the scenes in that situation?
I don't think if I was there, and not because it's me, it would have gotten to that point. Because if you're a vet or whatever, your energy is what's in the dressing room. So, to be able to de-escalate something like that, I think that's the route I would have gone through, trying to, and at the same time, now, and especially in the United States, everybody's got a fucking camera. So you got to get security. You got to, if you could take the guy out or not, that's not it. Because it's going to be all over the fucking internet. I know a guy, you might know him, that somebody said he was a little bit stiff in the ring. And one of the wrestlers came in the dressing room and smacked him. And then my friend took him down, almost broke his fucking arm off. That's another way you can go. So I don't know. You tell me.
Very good. Well, you've had some people on here asking about this podcast of yours. Where can they watch this one that you do from the Hollywood Vampire Room?
Just go to my Linktree. Everything's there. Linktree /Vampiro. And that'll take you to my radio shows. It'll take you to the stuff in Spanish, the Instagrams, the Facebook. So Linktree /Vampiro, that takes you to everything.
And Juggalo Championship Wrestling, what can we expect for this October tour?
That we're really focused. JCW is always going to be JCW, but we're really pushing hard for the Lunacy TV tapings, the YouTube show that's blowing up like crazy. So what we're going to do on this tour is just try to survive it. You know what I mean? Because it gets it fucking intense. The people are going out of their minds for it. There's like 200 shows in like 3 days. So, we're going to be doing ICP, and the JCW. So there's going to be a lot of tired people, but that's when it's going to be magical because we're fucking going for it. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And the more people that get involved supporting JCW online and supporting Lunacy, letting everybody know it's on Thursday nights, all that kind of stuff, let it grow, get it out there, plant the fucking seeds, because it's not just for juggalos. It's for wrestling fans worldwide, and they're juggalos anyways. So we're at that stage where we're hungry as motherfuckers, and it's going to happen. So Violent J, man, he doesn't fucking sleep as it is, and he's a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? And I love that fucking guy. But to see him put as much energy as he's putting into JCW, I even feel guilty, and I'm a fucking workaholic. So expect the best. That's all I can say.
Very good. Well, I've been impressed with what I've seen on the episodes so far. I'll let you close this down however you want. Thanks a lot. It's been very interesting listening to you.
Dude, it's been a pleasure. I'm proud of you. You're an inspiration to a lot of us, guys like me. So when you say, "Can I shut this down?" In wrestling and in life, you've got to be able to say thank you to the people who have paved the road before you. You're one of them, bro. And the fans who continue supporting the product You know, I'm almost 60 years old. I've been doing this for a long time. And to see the new generation even know who I am means that what we did, that what we bled for, was for a reason, if we're still kind of remembered. But I don't want to even think that you would assume I'm saying I'm legendary or I'm iconic. I'm not. I'm part of a legendary and iconic industry. I'm a fan. I love pro wrestling. I love what I do. I'm very, very, very fucking fortunate. But, you know, I got a couple of really, in what I'm about to do and what I'm bringing with Vampiro and JCW and Lunacy and everything else is so fucking intense. But because of a non-disclosure, can't really say much about it. But trust me, October is the first steps of that project as well. And it's just going to get better and better and better, man. So I'm very grateful for you, for what you do. I'm very grateful for your audience. I'm very grateful for ICP's audience. I'm grateful for the Juggalo family. And I'm grateful to God that I have the opportunity to continue being me.